Hello, everyone. Welcome back to English with Aurora. I'm so happy you're here today because we're going to learn something that can truly transform your professional life. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I'm Aurora, and here we upload a brand new English learning video every single day to help you improve not only your listening, but also your speaking and fluency in real, practical situations. Today we're focusing on something incredibly important. We're going to learn 100 essential English phrases for work and business conversations. These are the phrases that native speakers use in offices, in meetings, in emails, and in professional settings every single day. By the end of this video, you'll feel more confident walking into your workplace, joining a meeting, or having a conversation with your colleagues or boss. You'll sound more professional, more natural, and more fluent. Now, before we dive in, if you love learning practical English that you can actually use in your daily life, please hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new lesson. Trust me, every video is packed with useful phrases and real conversations. And grab a pen and paper because we have a lot to cover today and you'll want to write down your favorites. All right, are you ready? Let's get started. Let's begin with one of the most common phrases you'll use when you arrive at work. Good morning, how are you doing? This is a friendly and professional way to greet your colleagues. It's simple, but it shows you're polite and approachable. You'll use this phrase almost every single day when you first see someone at the office. Imagine you walk into your office in the morning and you see your coworker at their desk. You smile and say, "Good morning, how are you doing?" They might reply with, "I'm doing well, thanks. How about you?" And you can respond with, "I'm great, thanks for asking." Just like that, you've started a natural, professional conversation. You can also use variations like, "Good morning, how's everything going?" Or "Morning, how are things?" These all work perfectly in a work environment. The key is to sound friendly but professional. Practice saying this phrase every morning when you arrive at work, and it will become second nature. Now let's move on to another essential phrase. I'm following up on our conversation from yesterday. This phrase is incredibly useful when you want to continue a discussion you had before. It shows you're organized, professional, and you remember important details. Imagine you had a meeting with your manager yesterday about a new project. Today, you want to discuss it further. You walk up to them and say, "Hi, I'm following up on our conversation from yesterday about the marketing project." They'll appreciate that you're proactive and engaged. You might continue with, "Do you have a few minutes to discuss the next steps?" This shows initiative and professionalism. You can also say, "I wanted to follow up on what we talked about earlier," or "I'm reaching out to follow up on our discussion." All of these phrases work beautifully in emails and face-to-face conversations. Use this phrase when you want to show you're serious about your work and you pay attention to details. Another phrase you'll hear constantly in business settings is, "Could you please clarify that for me?" This is a polite way to ask someone to explain something you didn't understand. It's perfectly normal to not understand everything in a meeting or conversation, and this phrase helps you get the information you need without sounding confused or unprepared. Imagine you're in a meeting and your boss mentions a deadline, but you're not sure exactly what date they mean. You can say, "Excuse me, could you please clarify that deadline for me?" They'll respect that you're asking instead of guessing. They might say, "Sure, the deadline is next Friday by 5 p.m., and you can respond with, "Perfect, thank you for clarifying." You can also use variations like, "Could you explain that in more detail?" Or "I just want to make sure I understand correctly." These phrases show you're detail-oriented and you want to do your job well. Never be afraid to ask for clarification. It's much better than making a mistake because you didn't understand. Let's talk about a phrase that shows you're flexible and cooperative. I'm happy to help with that. This phrase is wonderful because it shows you're a team player and you're willing to contribute. It makes you sound positive and approachable. Imagine your colleague is working on a difficult report and they mention they're feeling overwhelmed. You can say, "I'm happy to help with that if you need an extra hand." They'll appreciate your support. You might continue with, "I can help you with the research part if that would be useful." This kind of attitude makes you a valuable member of any team. You can also say, "I'd be glad to assist with that," or "let me know if I can help in any way." These phrases create a positive atmosphere and show you're collaborative. Use this phrase whenever you genuinely have time to help someone, and you'll build strong professional relationships. Another important phrase is, "Thank you for bringing that to my attention." This is a professional way to acknowledge when someone points out something you missed or informs you about something important. It shows you're grateful and you value their input. Imagine a coworker notices a small error in your presentation and mentions it to you. Instead of feeling defensive, you can say, "Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'll fix that right away." This response shows maturity and professionalism. They'll respect that you handle feedback well. You can also use, "I appreciate you letting me know," or "Thanks for pointing that out." These phrases help you respond gracefully to corrections or new information. Remember, everyone makes mistakes, and how you respond to them matters more than the mistake itself. Let's look at a phrase that's essential for scheduling and planning. What time works best for you? This phrase is perfect when you need to arrange a meeting or call with someone. It shows you're considerate of their schedule and you want to find a time that's convenient for both of you. Imagine you need to meet with your supervisor to discuss your progress on a project. You can send them a message saying, "I'd like to discuss the project status with you. What time works best for you this week?" They'll appreciate that you're asking instead of just demanding their time. They might reply with, "How about Tuesday at 2 p.m.?" And you can confirm with, "Perfect, Tuesday at 2 works great for me." You can also say, "When would be a good time for you?" or "Let me know what fits your schedule." These phrases show respect for other people's time and make scheduling much easier. Use this phrase often, and people will see you as organized and considerate. Now let's practice these phrases together in a short conversation. Imagine you arrive at work on Monday morning and you see your colleague Sarah. You say, "Good morning, Sarah. How are you doing?" She replies, "I'm doing well, thanks. Actually, I wanted to follow up on our conversation from last Friday about the client presentation." You say, "Absolutely, I'm happy to help with that. What time works best for you to go over the details?" She says, "How about 10:30? You respond, "Perfect, and thank you for bringing that project back to my attention. I'll see you at 10:30. This conversation uses 6 of the phrases we've learned, and it sounds completely natural. This is exactly how professional conversations happen in real workplaces every single day. Let's continue with another incredibly useful phrase. "I'll get back to you on that." This phrase is perfect when someone asks you a question and you don't have the answer right away. It's much better than guessing or giving wrong information. It shows you're responsible and you want to provide accurate information. Imagine your manager asks you about the budget for a new project, but you don't have the numbers with you. You can say, "I don't have those figures right now, but I'll get back to you on that by the end of the day." This shows you're organized and reliable. Make sure when you use this phrase, you actually do get back to them. Follow through is everything in business. You can also say, "Let me check on that and I'll get back to you," or "I'll look into that and follow up with you." These variations all work perfectly. The important thing is to give them a time frame if possible, so they know when to expect your response. Another phrase that shows professionalism is, "I appreciate your patience." This is wonderful to use when something is taking longer than expected or when there's been a delay. It acknowledges the other person's time and shows you're grateful they're being understanding. Imagine you're working on a report for a client and it's taking longer than you thought. You send them an update saying, "The report is almost complete. I appreciate your patience as we finalize the details." This keeps them informed and shows respect for their time. They'll appreciate the communication. You can also use, "Thank you for your patience," or "Thanks for being patient with us." These phrases help maintain good relationships even when things don't go exactly as planned. Communication and acknowledgement go a long way in business. Let's talk about a phrase that helps you make suggestions professionally. Have you considered doing it this way? This phrase allows you to offer an alternative approach without sounding pushy or critical. It's a gentle way to share your ideas. Imagine your team is planning a strategy and you have a different idea. Instead of saying their idea is wrong, you can say, "That's a good approach. Have you considered doing it this way?" Then you explain your suggestion. This way, you're contributing without creating conflict. They might say, "That's interesting, tell me more," and now you have an opportunity to share your perspective. You can also say, "What if we tried this approach?" Or another option might be to do this. These phrases show you're a thoughtful team member who brings value to discussions. Always present alternatives respectfully, and you'll be seen as a collaborative professional. Another essential phrase is, "I'll take care of that right away." This shows you're responsive and reliable. When someone asks you to do something, or when you notice something that needs attention, this phrase demonstrates you're on top of things. Imagine your supervisor mentions that a client needs an updated invoice. You can immediately respond with, "I'll take care of that right away." They'll trust that it will get done. Make sure you do actually take care of it promptly. Your reliability builds your professional reputation. You can also say, "I'll handle that immediately," or "I'm on it." These phrases show you're proactive and efficient. People love working with someone who gets things done quickly and reliably. Let's look at a phrase for presenting information. According to the latest data, we're seeing positive results. This phrase is excellent for meetings and presentations because it shows your information is based on facts and research. It makes you sound informed and credible. Imagine you're giving an update on sales performance. You can say, "According to the latest data, we're seeing a 20% increase in customer engagement." This sounds much more professional than just saying, "Things are going well." You're backing up your statements with evidence. You can also use, "Based on the recent reports," or "The data shows that." These phrases help you present information in a clear, professional manner. Always support your statements with evidence in business settings, and you'll be taken more seriously. Another powerful phrase is, "I'd like to propose an idea." This is perfect when you want to introduce a suggestion or new concept. It sounds professional and it gets people's attention. It signals that you're about to share something potentially valuable. Imagine you're in a team meeting and you have an idea for improving a process. You can say, "I'd like to propose an idea for streamlining our approval process." Everyone will listen because you've framed it professionally. Then you explain your idea clearly. Even if they don't accept your proposal, they'll respect that you're thinking about improvements. You can also say, "I have a suggestion I'd like to share," or "I'd like to put forward a proposal." These phrases position you as someone who contributes ideas and thinks strategically. Don't be afraid to speak up with your ideas. Your perspective is valuable. Let's talk about a phrase that helps you manage expectations. This will take approximately 2 weeks to complete. When you're clear about timelines, people can plan accordingly. It's much better to give a realistic estimate than to promise something too quickly and then disappoint. Imagine your manager asks when you can finish a complex project. Instead of just saying soon, you say, based on the current workload, this will take approximately 2 weeks to complete. This shows you've thought about it and you're being realistic. Your manager can then plan around that timeline. You can also say, I estimate this will be done by next Friday, or the expected completion date is the end of the month. Being specific about timelines shows you're organized and you understand project management. Always give yourself a little buffer time in case unexpected issues arise. Another important phrase for teamwork is, let's work together on this. This phrase promotes collaboration and shows you value input from others. It creates a team atmosphere instead of a competitive one. Imagine you're starting a new project and you want to involve your colleagues. You can say, this project is important, so let's work together on this to make sure we cover all the details. This invites participation and makes everyone feel included. Teamwork almost always produces better results than working alone. You can also say, let's collaborate on this, or we should join forces on this project. These phrases build strong team dynamics. When people feel included and valued, they're more motivated and productive. Now let's practice a longer conversation using many of these phrases. Imagine you're having a meeting with your manager about a new marketing campaign. Your manager says, we need to launch this campaign soon. Can you give me an update? You respond, absolutely. According to the latest data, we're seeing positive results from our test group. Based on that, I'd like to propose an idea for the full launch. Your manager says, I'm listening. You continue, I suggest we extend the timeline by 1 week to refine the messaging. This will take approximately 3 weeks total to complete, but the quality will be much better. Your manager thinks for a moment and asks, have you considered doing it in 2 weeks instead? You reply, I have, but I want to make sure we deliver the best possible results. However, let's work together on this. If the team can collaborate on the content creation, we might be able to speed things up. I'll get back to you tomorrow with a detailed timeline. Your manager nods and says, that sounds good. You finish with, thank you for your patience as we work through these details. I appreciate your input, and I'll take care of preparing that timeline right away. That was a complete professional conversation using 14 different phrases we've learned today. It sounded natural, professional, and collaborative. This is exactly the kind of conversation that happens in business settings every day. Let's continue with more essential phrases. Could we schedule a meeting to discuss this further? This phrase is perfect when a topic is too complex for a quick conversation or email. It shows you want to give the matter proper attention. Imagine you receive an email about a complicated budget issue. Instead of trying to solve it through multiple emails, you reply, this is an important topic. Could we schedule a meeting to discuss this further? This shows you're organized and you prefer efficient communication. Meetings are often the best way to resolve complex issues quickly. You can also say, let's set up a time to talk about this in detail, or can we arrange a meeting to go over this? These phrases help you manage your communication effectively. Knowing when to suggest a meeting instead of endless emails is a valuable professional skill. Another phrase that demonstrates responsibility is, I take full responsibility for that. When something goes wrong and it's your fault, owning it immediately builds respect. People trust those who are accountable. Imagine you missed an important deadline and it affected your team. Instead of making excuses, you say, I take full responsibility for missing that deadline. I apologize for the impact it had on the team, and I've put measures in place to ensure it doesn't happen again. This shows maturity and professionalism. Your colleagues and managers will respect your honesty. You can also say, that was my mistake, or I'm accountable for that. Taking responsibility when things go wrong actually strengthens your professional reputation, as long as you learn from the mistake and don't repeat it. Let's look at a phrase for expressing agreement professionally. I completely agree with your point. This phrase shows you're actively listening and you value the other person's perspective. It's important to acknowledge good ideas and show support. Imagine you're in a meeting and a colleague suggests a strategy you think is excellent. You can say, I completely agree with your point about focusing on customer retention. That's exactly what we need right now. This validates their contribution and creates positive team dynamics. People feel encouraged when their ideas are supported. You can also say, you're absolutely right about that, or I'm on the same page with you. These phrases show you're engaged in the conversation and you're a supportive team member. Building up others' ideas makes you a valuable collaborator. Another essential phrase is, can you walk me through the process? This is a professional way to ask someone to explain how something works step by step. It shows you want to understand thoroughly and you value their expertise. Imagine you're starting a new role and you need to learn a specific procedure. You can say to a colleague, I want to make sure I do this correctly. Can you walk me through the process? They'll be happy to help because you've asked respectfully and shown you care about doing things right. As they explain, take notes and ask questions. You can also say, could you show me how this works? Or I'd appreciate if you could guide me through this. These phrases help you learn new things without appearing incompetent. Asking questions is a sign of intelligence, not weakness. Let's talk about a phrase for showing enthusiasm. I'm excited about this opportunity. Showing positive energy in the workplace makes you pleasant to work with, and it can be contagious. People want to work with enthusiastic colleagues. Imagine you've been assigned to lead a new project. You can say to your team, I'm excited about this opportunity to work together on something innovative. This sets a positive tone and motivates everyone. Enthusiasm is powerful in business because it drives energy and creativity. You can also say, I'm really looking forward to this, or this is a great chance for us. These phrases create positive momentum. Even when things are challenging, maintaining an optimistic attitude helps everyone perform better. Another important phrase for managing workload is, I'm currently working on several projects. This helps you communicate when you're busy without sounding like you're complaining or refusing work. It's about managing expectations. Imagine your manager asks you to take on an additional task. You can respond, I'd like to help with that. I'm currently working on several projects with deadlines this week. Could we discuss priorities so I can manage my time effectively? This shows you're willing, but also realistic about your capacity. Good managers appreciate when you communicate about workload. You can also say, I have a few things on my plate right now, or my schedule is quite full at the moment. These phrases help you have honest conversations about what you can realistically accomplish. It's better to communicate early than to overcommit and underdeliver. Let's look at a phrase for offering alternatives. Another option would be to approach it this way. This phrase is excellent for problem solving and brainstorming. It shows you're flexible and creative in your thinking. Imagine your team is stuck on how to solve a problem. You can contribute by saying, I understand the challenges with that approach. Another option would be to approach it this way, and then you explain your alternative. This adds value to the discussion and shows you're solution-oriented. You can also say, we could also try this instead, or here's a different way to look at it. These phrases position you as someone who brings fresh perspectives and helps teams overcome obstacles. Creative problem solving is one of the most valued skills in any workplace. Another phrase that shows professionalism is, "Please let me know if you need anything else." This is perfect for closing emails or conversations. It shows you're helpful and accessible. It leaves the door open for further communication. Imagine you've just completed a task for a colleague and you're updating them. You can say, "I've finished the report and sent it to your email. Please let me know if you need anything else or if you'd like me to make any changes." This shows you're thorough and you care about their satisfaction. You can also say, "Feel free to reach out if you have questions," or "Let me know if there's anything more I can do." These phrases create a service-oriented attitude that makes you valuable to work with. Being helpful and approachable builds strong professional relationships. Let's talk about a phrase for managing interruptions politely. "Could I finish this thought?" Sometimes in meetings, you get interrupted before you've completed your point. This phrase allows you to assert yourself professionally without being rude. Imagine you're presenting an idea and someone cuts you off with a question. You can say, "That's a good question, and I'll address it in just a moment. Could I finish this thought first?" This shows you're organized and you want to present your complete idea. Then you continue and answer their question afterward. You can also say, "Let me complete this point quickly," or "If I may just finish this idea." These phrases help you maintain control of your presentation without offending anyone. Being able to assert yourself politely is an important professional skill. Another valuable phrase is, "That's a valid concern." When someone raises an issue or objection, acknowledging it shows you're listening and you take their perspective seriously. It creates an atmosphere of respect. Imagine you're proposing a new strategy and a team member expresses worry about the timeline. You can respond, "That's a valid concern. Let's talk about how we can address the timeline challenges." This shows you're not dismissing their worry. You're taking it seriously and working toward a solution. You can also say, "I understand your concern," or "That's a good point to consider." These phrases help you handle objections gracefully and turn potential conflicts into productive discussions. Respecting different viewpoints makes you a strong leader and team member. Let's look at a phrase for expressing flexibility. "I'm open to suggestions." This shows you're not rigid in your thinking and you value input from others. It creates a collaborative environment where everyone feels their ideas matter. Imagine you've drafted a plan and you're presenting it to your team. You can say, "Here's what I'm thinking, but I'm open to suggestions if anyone has ideas for improvement." This invites participation and often leads to better outcomes because multiple perspectives are considered. You can also say, "I'm flexible on this," or "I welcome your input." These phrases show humility and teamwork. The best leaders are those who listen to others and remain open to better ideas. Another important phrase is, "Could you send me that in writing?" Sometimes you need documentation of what was discussed or decided. This phrase helps you get written confirmation professionally. Imagine you've had a verbal conversation about changing a deadline, and you want to make sure everyone is clear. You can say, "Just to make sure we're all on the same page, could you send me that in writing?" This protects everyone and ensures there's no confusion later. Written communication creates a record that can be referenced. You can also say, "Can you email me those details?" Or "I'd appreciate if you could put that in an email." These phrases help you maintain clear documentation without sounding like you don't trust the person. It's simply good business practice. Let's practice another comprehensive conversation. Imagine you're in a planning meeting for a product launch. Your colleague Michael starts, "We need to finalize the launch date." What are your thoughts? You respond, I'm excited about this opportunity. According to the latest data, the product testing is going well. However, that's a valid concern about timing. I'm currently working on several projects, so could we schedule a meeting to discuss this further with the whole team? Michael says, that makes sense. What time works best for you? You reply, I'm open to suggestions. How about Wednesday afternoon? Michael agrees, perfect. Can you send me that in writing so I can add it to everyone's calendar? You say, absolutely. I'll take care of that right away. And please let me know if you need anything else before the meeting. I'd like to propose an idea about the marketing approach, so I'll prepare some information to share. Michael responds, great. I completely agree that we should think about marketing carefully. Could you walk me through your initial thoughts? You say, of course. Another option would be to approach it with a social media focus first. This will take approximately 2 weeks to fully develop, but I'll get back to you with more details at our Wednesday meeting. I appreciate your patience as I work through these ideas. That conversation used 20 different phrases from today's lesson, and it flowed naturally like a real workplace discussion. You can see how these phrases fit together in actual professional situations. Now I want you to understand something important. These phrases aren't just words. They're tools that will change how you communicate at work. They'll make you sound more confident, more professional, and more fluent. When you use these phrases naturally, people will respect your communication skills. They'll see you as someone who is organized, collaborative, and professional. The key to mastering these phrases is practice. Don't try to memorize all 100 at once. Choose 5 or 10 that are most relevant to your current work situation. Practice them today. Use them in your emails, in your meetings, in your conversations. Then next week, choose 5 or 10 more. Before you know it, these phrases will become automatic. You won't have to think about them. They'll just flow naturally in your conversations. Remember, every native English speaker in business uses these phrases. By learning them, you're not just learning English. You're learning the language of professional success. You're giving yourself the tools to advance in your career, to lead meetings confidently, to communicate clearly with colleagues and clients, and to build strong professional relationships. Thank you so much for watching this entire lesson. I know it was packed with information, but I hope you found it valuable. If you enjoyed this video and learned something useful today, please give it a thumbs up. It helps other English learners find this content. Share this video with anyone who wants to improve their business English. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because we upload practical English lessons like this every single day. Learning English is a journey, and every phrase you learn is a step forward. Don't get discouraged if it takes time. Be patient with yourself. Celebrate every small victory. Every time you use one of these phrases successfully, you're proving to yourself that you can do this. You're building skills that will serve you for your entire professional life. Keep practicing these phrases, write them down, say them out loud, use them in real situations. That's how you'll make them part of your natural English. I believe in you, and I'm so proud of the effort you're putting into improving your English. Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next one.